From the shores of Lake Tappan on a ride-along with Superintendent Brian O'Malley of River Vale Country Club, I'm Jack Higgins, and this is the EarthWorks Podcast.
Welcome to the EarthWorks Podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon from many of our turf friends from the past 30 years.
All right, Brian. How do you do?
I'm good. How you doing, Jack?
Real good.
Good.
Yeah, this is fun, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for hosting me.
Oh, thanks for coming by.
Yeah. Well, it's like this kind of overcast, damp August morning. You, of course, have full tee sheets over here at
Oh,
River
yeah,
Vale.
every day.
Every day.
No matter what.
And that's, what I'm excited to talk about today is that, well, first of all, on the EarthWorks podcast, we kind of have a whole bunch of different conversations, a whole bunch of different guests, and sometimes we go off into different tangents. We just kind of did a series recently with Lawrence Mayhew that was really heavy into soils and really heavy into product formulation, everything like that. But we like to sometimes just work on connecting the dots of greenkeeping and really greenkeeping with EarthWorks. And you are such a great guest because you're a great conversationalist, and you're an open book. You have a good way of simplifying things and kind of to the point, and also you try stuff. You're an early adapter.
Yeah, you got to try stuff and keep it simple. Job's hard enough, so the simpler it can get, the better for me, for sure.
Right. And then, of course, the other great thing is that your place is very busy. So if it works here, it can work.
Yeah, definitely. This is the highest traffic and smallest property I've ever been on, so
yeah,
gotta try different things. And budget-wise, I'm limited with some things, but they give me enough to get the job done, and I think everybody's happy with it.
Well, so little recap here, and since the last time we've talked, you hosted a Hudson Valley meeting.
Yeah, we did the first Hudson Valley meeting in April.
Which is nice, man.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing it up because everyone raved about it.
Yeah, we had some really good weather. It was summer-like weather in April. It was
That's right.
Dry. It was hot. It was a good day.
The place played great.
Yeah, it was perfect.
And also, people got to see these kind of this gem of a golf course, these green complexes that are so much fun, that are challenging even at 6,500 feet. So it's great.
Yeah, a lot of people were impressed by the layout, and you don't really see it from this area in Bergen County, where it's usually pretty flat, but you get back here and there's some elevation changes and some really good green complexes.
So we're talking about the layout here and how it's so fun. I think that this hole right here behind us is a great example of how they used the land and really made a fun golf course to play. Who did you mention was the architect?
It's Orrin Smith. He worked with Donald Ross and Charles Banks on some projects. He designed his own courses here, I think a couple in Connecticut and a handful of others. So
what year?
1931.
Wow.
This place was designed. Before that, he worked a lot with Ross on several projects. So a lot of his characteristics and that golden age of architecture is definitely shown here.
And it's a shooting gallery, but
yeah.
We haven't gotten hit yet.
Keep your head on a swivel.
But it kind of speaks to the way he did design the place. He's making good use of the land. There's a lot of balls landing, but everything is pretty well protected.
Yeah, you're only dealing with 120 acres of property, so everything is kind of tight, but I think it works well.
We mentioned the shores of Lake Tappan. There it is out there behind this green. This is one of the areas where you got a view of the lake, but you're trying, and the lake is really a reservoir, but you're trying to open up more views, you say.
Yeah, every year we do a lot of tree work, and one of the things that's on that list are vistas and opening up some of these sightlines to the water. So every year it gets a little better, and the town, I think, recognizes the value in that, so they keep investing in our tree program, which is very helpful.
Yeah, how many golf courses are on this small reservoir here in Bergen County? I think there's
there's at least 3.
Yeah, there's 3, and then if you take the radius out another only 4 miles from here, you're probably gonna scoop up another 5 or 6 golf courses.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, and you still do this much golf here. This is it's a population density and people that like golf, people that play.
Yeah, there's definitely a shortage of golf, so all these courses around here are busy.
And you can have fun out here. So, for example, on this hole that we're standing on, what hole is this?
This is hole 2.
And there's a big ridge that kind of that intersects the fairway, and about halfway through the fairway. And you're saying if you're a good player, you can bomb it over the ridge, and you would.
I think that's part of the value at this place. That the long drive doesn't really get rewarded.
It will or it won't?
It won't. So you really have to place it on this hole. It's a shorter par 4, but if you hit a driver, you don't really help yourself with the downhill lie in the rough or in the fairway because the green's sloping big time from front to back, so it's hard to stop.
Oh yeah,
you're better off back here towards the bunkers and have an uphill lie, so you can stop it easier. That's a lot of the driving at this place. That's why the course feels longer than 6,500. I think your driver doesn't need to be hit every hole, so you want to be in spots where you have better approach to the greens, because that's where the course really gets tough, is that the green complexes are not easy, so your approach shot's pretty important.
Keeps it fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun place to play. You use every club in your bag, so I think that's why people come back and are consistent playing here, because it is fun to play.
Was this a private equity club?
Yeah, it was.
At its start?
The town purchased it, I think, 10 years ago. Before that, it was private, owned by a handful of owners. So I think even going back to the 30s, I think it's always kind of been a private place. There's a couple of times where it was public, I think in the 70s, and then turned private again. And now the town owns it, and it's semi-private, so you can purchase a membership and get preferred tee times and some benefits. And
the town owns it, and it's booming.
Oh, it's a factory for sure.
Yeah, good. So I preface this that it is a kind of damp morning. How much rain did you say you've got in the last 2 days?
Over 2 inches in the last 6 days.
There you go.
3 storms.
Yeah, and it's been soggy. So you've dealt with all the things that you deal with when it's soggy, especially when your place gets played and you're a POA bent golf course, i.e. Black algae.
Yes. Pops up every couple times a year.
Right. Now, I'm driving around and saying, you don't have a lot. You show me, 2 spots over 18 holes.
Yeah, I have 2 greens that I have issues with, but they've gotten a lot better the last few years, so it's just tiny spots at this point.
But like all POA bent greens, you've had it, and you said there were summers when you first got here that were much worse.
Yeah, the first couple of years where 5 or 6 greens had algae real bad, and it was just a lack of aerification and proper cultural management that I guess led to that. So my spray program controlled a lot of that first couple of years, and I backed off on some of those products, and now I'm just spot treating it.
Right. So let's talk about kind of what you adapted as a protocol here that's been effective, specifically using the only physical amendment that EarthWorks really has. It's actually the only product that is not a fertilizer in our line. So anyway, that's Ecolite. And describe to me what you did there.
Well, I wanted to try Ecolite in a few spots, and so when I saw the algae pop up, I just took a spike seeder and top dressed some Ecolite with some bent grass in those green spots, and it was probably 3-4 days after that I saw the algae go away and the bent grass actually germinated in those spots. So we adapted that program to some tee spots and fairway spots on a larger scale, and started using more Ecolite and divot mix and really incorporating more of it into anything that was going with seed. Yeah,
so that's interesting. you're really tapping into the water management aspect of the Ecolite.
Yeah, I felt like the Ecolite was pulling water away from the algae, so it dried up the algae quick, and a couple days later it was gone. So it was, allowed the seed to kind of take over, and even the surrounding bent grass, filled in pretty quick too. So I didn't have to spray anything. I didn't have to do anything that was extra. It was just the Ecolite, I think, just managing the water in that area a little better on the surface.
And it's really cool that black algae does heal up or disappear as quickly as it comes on. Like you can
it was quick.
Get rid of it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you saw. I mean, and now I think you were showing me areas that were 3 weeks out of this or 4 weeks out, and they are...
Yeah, it was probably a month ago we had the last flare up on the black algae, so I mean all those spots are looking pretty good, and I haven't had a repeat outbreak in those spots, so it's definitely something I would use more of.
Okay, great.
Those spots.
It's quick, it's easy. I think that you're on to something of really taking the physical side, the water management side, and putting it exactly where you want it, because you mentioned that you also tried this with Renovate, but you've got better results with Ecolite.
Yeah, Renovate did okay. I didn't really do what I want. I think Renovate did a little better on tees and fairway spots with the divot mix and drying stuff out, but Ecolite, being a smaller prill, you can get it in the holes a little easier, and once it's in the holes, it definitely manages the water a lot better, and I think success-wise, Ecolite was a lot better on the greens.
Excellent. So, cool, and it's not a difficult product to use. Well, that's good. So, what else are you doing out here? How else has the summer been? You've got you've got some areas that are really thriving, but you have choke points, like one being these par 3 tees, I believe.
The par 3 tees are some of the smallest tees on the golf course, and they just can't handle the 40,000 rounds we do every year. So the solution, I hope, works, is we're going to get some Tahoma 31 and do some par 3 tees, and hopefully that controls some of the traffic and can keep up with the divots during the busy June, July, August summers that we have. So we're going to put that down next week and then incorporate in some par 3s and see how it works.
Okay, so let's chat this out, because here we are right in River Vale, which is on the border of New York and New Jersey.
Yeah, North Jersey.
North Jersey. You had questions for me on what I thought would be a good EarthWorks protocol for Bermuda grass establishment, because you're getting ready to sod this next week.
Yeah, that's right. I don't have a ton of experience with the Bermuda grass, so all your help's going to be pretty valuable. You have more experience than I do with it, so
yeah,
it should be. I think it should be a good grass type for our situation. And I think it's going to do well.
I think it will. I definitely will, because like you're saying, you have June, July, August, September, where you're at least 200 on the tee sheets.
No, it's 300.
300.
It's over 300 pretty consistent
every day. So yes, this turf will do very well for you. And you talked about establishment. You're doing it next week. Well, how do you prep? Well, I'd say it's the same way that you prep for any kind of establishment. We just hit on the Ecolite for seed. You're wanting water management, but for this sod particularly, it's just getting a good biological starter fertilizer down. That's the Myco Replenish. That Myco right now will knit up that sod within a couple days, 3-4 days. And you've got plenty of bioavailable phosphorus there in the 333 and the Myco that's bringing that phosphorus to the plant. So establishment, I don't think, is going to be an issue. And you'll get that going very quickly. I think the next question will be what do you do for kind of pushing it and really getting it vigorous in the limited growing season that we have left this year? And I mean, you had asked that question, I had mentioned that traditionally people do focus on potassium, and it's important to
Right.
focus on potassium in the second half of the year, particularly Bermuda grass. But I think there'll be a question of looking at the forecast, through the next 6 weeks. Like maybe you can push this with a little bit of N, maybe something out of the tank. I would think certainly what's in your normal tea sprays that
I treat
fertility-wise?
par threes different to start with. I
Okay.
always add extra sprays and extra nitrogen and a lot of C3, and it gets, probably par 3 teas get another third of a pound a year at least through
Okay,
the sprayer.
great.
And then I use a lot of 5-4-5 on those spots. So managing it wise, it's not going to change a ton. Maybe, like you said, the more K and a couple extra sprays to manage those a little bit better. But I want to push that tea as far as I can into the fall, and hopefully we get some nice warm weather to help establishment and test out this tea going into fall, because that's my biggest concern, maybe the fall and the spring traffic. So I'll just have to manage that accordingly.
Okay, so that sounds good on the management, the establishment, and the grow-in and the management after getting the myco underneath the sod. I think that sounds good that these teas are already getting added sprays.
I guess the nitrogen level is going to be something I'm not used to.
And I think that can more start in the spring. And I had mentioned that, like when you start to see green tissue in this, in what I think is going to be more like May, like probably right in between April, May, the beginning of May, you hammer it. You hit it pretty hard, and EarthWorks, the Replenish 822 is a great product there, because that's the ammonium sulfate and the compost. So really kind of gets it jumping. And 3/4 of a pound minimum, maybe even a pound.
Yeah, that's the part I'm not going to be used to.
Exactly.
Putting that much out at one time is going to make me a little nervous, but
yeah.
just a different mindset with the Bermuda.
That's right. But so you also mentioned the fall, the early spring, because you open here April 1st.
April 1st, yeah, we get busy.
And I really do think that ultimately, as this Tahoma 31 and these more cold tolerant Bermuda grasses become more commonplace in the northern parts of their growing territory, that overseeding is going to be important. And really, overseeded Bermuda grass, overseeded with perennial rye, it's a staple of beautiful greenkeeping. I mean, in the South, this is the epitome of like really nice aesthetics, is overseeded Bermuda, and you can have that here. I think it's going to be dialing in the right rate of the overseed, that you're not setting back the Bermuda grass. That's always kind of what the deal is.
Yeah, it's going to be the balance.
Yeah, that's the balance. And, I think that's pretty low. I think that's maybe like 3 pounds, 4 pounds per thousand of ryegrass seed. And of course, there's always ways out, like you can spray it out. Like you said.
Yeah, you could hit the reset button and start over and, get used to the rates and the timing of everything, and
right.
You want to push it. And I guess the movement of T markers and all that traffic control is going to be the biggest thing for those teas. And if it works on that tea, then I'm definitely going to try it on other teas we have traffic issues on. So even short par 4s, and we're doing a lot more tree work this winter too. So once we open up some more teas and they get more sun, I think we can use it, in other spots too.
Always improving here, man.
I'm trying.
That's great. So, more about that Bermuda and here. You had asked, when do you think is the time for the overseed? And I had said, like, whenever you can still germinate ryegrass, which is essentially always.
Yeah, especially the last couple off seasons, we've had some real mild weather, and
so let your Bermuda kind of do its thing and go into store as many carbohydrates as it can, do its thing, get a good healthy root system. It's got that myco down there. I think scratching in some Renovate Plus is also a great thing to do. So you get that down in there and let it do its thing, and then do your seeding late December. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Second
Last
half
couple
of
of years,
November.
that's what the timing is.
Okay, good. And you'll have a lot of confidence in this tea then coming into the spring. And then it will naturally, with all the play, I think it will naturally fade, if especially when we get some
I
good...
see that happening, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Just
good.
through the traffic, yeah. And then when it gets hot and we get some warm days in the summer too, it's going to melt away pretty quick, I think.
You also asked about blankets.
Yeah, for the overwinter.
Yeah, there's I think the way that guys use blankets in the South is that they're really concerned about the freeze thaw, particularly more the thaw.
The cycle of it.
Yeah, that it's the early springtime. It's the late winter, early spring that is your most crucial time for protecting the plant with blankets. I think specifically with these only couple thousand square feet that you're going to be trialing, I think you're going to want to have a learning process as to when to cover, when to take it off. I think you can cover less than you think.
That's what I feel like as well.
You can let the plant kind of go for a while before you really need to cover it up. That's what I think you're going to find.
Yeah, because I was covering par 3 tees over winter just to get the
Germination.
ryegrass and the divots healed up, so we're ready for the spring. So
when were you covering that?
Just late December.
And leaving it until...
Leaving it and then checking it. If we get some warm weather, take it off, let it breathe, dry out, and just make sure the seeds are doing okay. And then in the spring, it's kind of a back and forth a little bit until we get going.
I think it's going to be a
Depending on the
similar
weather, it
deal
might be the
for
same.
you.
Sounds like the same schedule. I might tweak it a little bit, but it's going to be kind of that situation again.
I do think that.
It helped out a ton with divot recovery, especially going into the spring, giving those tees a head start, and getting divots healed before we get another 300 rounds a day. We're behind already, and we haven't even started the season yet.
Let's see. What other kind of success stories have you had recently that you're happy with? I know we've talked about your success stories with using the granular, at the right times of year, the 10-2-5 you use in
we're
fairways.
going to try the 8-2-2 this year.
Oh,
the
that's
fall
right.
And the spring. That's what we talked about before.
That's right. So recap. You have been using 10-2-5 in June.
Yeah.
When else?
June and October.
Right.
At times.
At half pound rates.
Yeah, a little less than a half pound.
Yeah, maybe more like a third.
Yeah, it was a third.
Okay, so which is really not a lot of product.
No, it's not. If I had enough left over, I did a late 10-2-5 late.
Another third.
Yeah, November, around Thanksgiving.
And what we talked about as to where you could beef up, because that's essentially the only fertility granular-wise that those fairways are seeing.
Yeah, right. The rest is through a sprayer or a little bit with the Ronstar application, but it's...
But that's mainly K-focused, I think.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So you had asked where do you think that I could see some improvement in my fertility program, and I had suggested the really late time of the year with 822, and what that's going to do for you in December and the early part of the spring, late part of the winter. So I think that's a great way of really allowing these cool season plants to have a full carbohydrate reserve in the wintertime, which is so crucial for the managing the wear, the traffic, all the stress throughout the season. I mean, to have that full tank at the start is so important, and that's what that kind of late application does for you.
Yeah, I just need a head start in the spring just to stay ahead of things, because we're so busy in the spring, and I just need as much as I can in the spring. That's where I see the most traffic damage is in the spring, when things aren't doing as much, and you're trying to manage as much as you can, but to keep up with that, it's tough.
It also gives you a head start over all of the summer annual weeds, so it makes your pre-emergent work that much better. I'm not saying you're not going to pre-emerge, but you get, because you do have a goose grass.
Yeah, their pressure here is through the roof. I think it's always going to be like that.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. I learned some stuff about goosegrass the last few years. Let's put it that way.
But it'll make that Ronstar work. It'll make the Dimension work where you're using it. Do you use Dimension on top of Ronstar?
Yes. Yeah. I use both. I usually they time out probably 2 weeks apart, but
yes.
I'm definitely using both. I don't think I can get away with that. You can see my skips and outside the rough areas are the weed pressure is still crazy high. So
we've talked about that on
that'll
previous podcasts.
Ever go down to the point where I can eliminate a Ronstar app, but we're getting there. You
keep extending out your pre-emergent application into non-playing areas, it seems, year after year. And I think you can eliminate or keep reducing pressure, but let's be realistic. Yeah. You've got a lot of pressure. You did trials here. Rutgers did trials here, right? For years.
They found some I guess goosegrass that was resistant to some of the chemicals that we're using.
Right.
Dimension mainly, I think, was the main one, and really doesn't touch goosegrass. And
not here.
No, they did some trials with the Ronstar. Ronstar's been a really good success here in general. So we had fairways that were 80-90% goosegrass, it seemed like, in the September range.
The other thing that I think you have adapted is that you really work hard every year at trying to make more of your rough into your fairway program.
Yeah, that's another. Once everybody's happy with greens, tees, fairways, then then roughs are next. So we're pushing as much as we can out in the roughs. It's tough with the irrigation system. Mm-hmm. You're limited on what your expectations should be, but as long as they give me the resources to treat the greens, tees, and fairways properly, and they want me to get in the rough and do that, we do as much as we can with the rough.
C3 alone is sprays.
Yeah, I use C3 on. We spray the rough wall to wall with Dimension and Merit, and both those tanks had C3, 2 apps of C3 at least. So, and then we're spot spraying it in traffic spots and bunker banks. See it a lot, and high traffic spots see it a bunch of times a month. So
you've done the same thing with Ecolite in a lot of those areas.
Yeah, Ecolite the same way with wet, dry spots, stressed out spots, any hot spots, aerify and sweep into holes, greens, tees, and fairways.
That's cool.
That's been a big game changer, just eliminating the hot spots and even out the areas of fairways or tees that get super dry next to super wet areas, because the irrigation system here is not the best, and you got really wet spots and really dry spots next to each other just because of the head coverage and the age of the head. So those products really even C3 I think evens out
Absolutely.
The water. It's almost like a surfactant little bit, and
it totally is.
Helps with water too.
And completely. You don't do you water that in? Do you leave it on top?
Leave it on top. I try to time it with rain just because the irrigation system is not going to water in some of this stuff properly. So I just try to time it with rain the next day or that night. And
that's right. And it gets to where it for the surfactant side of things, it gets to where it needs to be pretty naturally, even with your regular gallon per 1,000 spray volume on fairways, I imagine. Yeah, okay.
I'm not doing a ton of wetting agent on fairways. I don't have a full-blown program. I would like one, but I mean,
you get by without.
I get by without, and
C3 and
it comes out pretty even, moisture-wise.
Okay, so interesting. That's good. I mean, it also allows you to get this done with a really good crew, but also a small crew. Like, you don't have a big crew.
No, I don't have time to do. We do the basics, green tee, fairway, and then the details and the hand watering and that kind of thing. I don't really have time or resources for. So anything that we can eliminate the hand watering or the small areas we need to touch up.
never more than 10 guys here
No.
at any one time, I imagine.
Right.
And again, you have you're on tees, fairways, and greens essentially all the time with golfers.
Yeah, right.
So
once you get the first wave of golf, if you're not done, then you're caught and you're done for the day because you can't get out there. So anything that we can get done first thing, and the Eco Light and all those products help out, just getting everything evened out in the morning, and then you do what you can during the day, and then it gets you through the next day.
yeah, good deal. How about greens program specifically? Anything that you've learned there to handle, you know, I guess with all that play, do your pin locations take the abuse?
I've tried to slow down greens a little bit so we can use more of the pin areas.
Okay.
And that just makes them more, I guess, speed-wise more consistent. I in the spring it gets tough. These greens are naturally, I think, get too fast when I'm, trying to push things a little bit, and they get too dry or over-regulated. Like this spring is a good example where I got over-regulated. They stopped growing a little bit. They got way too fast. So then I'm limited traffic-wise to a couple pins on greens, and that's my biggest challenge, I guess, in the spring, and I guess throughout the year, is just managing that traffic on greens. Like you'll see the heavy traffic spots on greens where the POA takes over and the bent grass kind of recedes a little bit, and trying to manage all those areas is really important in the spring and even going into the fall, because we're open through December too. So you got to manage that December traffic so you're not kicking yourself in the spring trying to catch up on everything, because you really just got to wait for the Mother Nature to take over and help you out for some of this stuff.
How much nitrogen and where does your nitrogen come from, greens wise? I guess it probably starts with the aerification program.
Yeah, so I'm doing Renovate, and then Myco 333 sweeped into holes. That's like the big shot of nitrogen. And then throughout the years, every spray's got a little less than 1/10 of a pound of nitrogen. So I'm less than 2 pounds of nitrogen on greens, so nothing too crazy. On three of the greens, I do kind of spray separate with added traffic, putting green, and 9 and 10, just some anthracnose prone areas. So I'll do an extra 1/10 of a pound in between sprays on those areas. But
You guys see me come down anywhere?
no, did not.
There you go, man. That's the golf course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's alive.
Yeah, it's a working thing here. We did not see you come down. But so, are you using Protein Plus on greens? I don't remember.
I've tried it in the past. I haven't gotten into it. That was something I was actually looking at today, changing up some extra fertilizer applications.
You've used the product in different parts of the golf course.
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah. Yeah, good deal. It is a nice balanced nitrogen source, and that is another one. And for the EarthWorks heads out there, you heard all about our eco-adaptive chemistry that we formulate with now that really mimics nature, and that is a nitrogen product that we've really put together to work at assimilating amino acids and protein in a way that nature does it. So it's cool. It's a good product. But dude, I mean, this was again like a nice conversation for connecting dots on how to greenkeep with EarthWorks.
Yeah, I try everything. I try a lot of different areas and ask you a lot of questions and see what works, see what doesn't work, what's a good idea, what's maybe it's not going to work.
Yeah, you mentioned you've tried stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah, I like for the Eco Light experiment on greens, I tried that with Renovate and didn't have a ton of success with it. Part because the prill is a little larger, so it didn't get into the holes, and it was sitting on top, and the mower ate it anyway.
And I think that, like you said, it's really a question of managing moisture up top,
Right.
And that's that you're getting more bang for your buck in that aspect with Ecolite, and Renovate's more for foundational, minerals and activity in more the 3-inch zone.
Right.
So yeah, dude, that's cool. Just because I like asking, and we talk about it, earthworm casting pressure.
0.
Okay. Nice to hear.
I have C3 now in every spray tank, and some people think I'm a little over the top on that, but even with the lower budget, it's worth every penny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
For a lot of reasons.
You use it in a tote, I believe, right? Yeah, which is very cost effective. And it is a product that can go in every tank. It's easy to use.
Yeah, it's a staple for everything. First year I started, wall-to-wall rough with it, so maybe next year I can up the rates on the rough applications just to get more out there. But the more I use it, the more I like it, and it controls makes everything better, I think, too.
Yeah.
Every spray tank's a little better because of that stuff.
Yeah, we're looking at like kind of a beautiful scene here of happy, cool season turf all over this golf course.
Yeah, we're green today, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's cool, man. How else is life by you? How are things going? Kids are good?
Oh, kids are good. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, so we're busy with camps and starting up school soon, and yeah, it's all good stuff.
Yeah,
my wife works from home, so she has to tote them around at different camps and parties and doing all that stuff, especially in the summer when.
So you're saying your life's real simple and easy?
Oh yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, well, and you've got a hard job, but like you got it pretty well under control.
Yeah,
at least today.
Yeah, it's fulfilling too when you see everything out here and it's going to plan, and I'm happy with everything that's out here. And golfers are happy.
Yeah, you've gotten accolades from the management. I know, like they're happy with you.
And I also just become a certified superintendent. So
CGCS, baby, hell yeah!
Great accomplishment for me. I've been working on that for a few years.
Congrats, that's great.
Happy with that, and yeah, everybody's happy, so I'm happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Any major projects you besides the Tahoma going in? Which
I think the next big thing's just finished. Like, we have 4 holes that still need the bunker renovation, so we're gonna shoot for that, and then some tee renovation, and there's always tree work out here. So those are the 3 big things we're trying to get accomplished, and hopefully the town gives us some extra resources for that stuff. And
well, I mean,
all good.
They're doing good here. It's a high value golf course. I mean, the guys that are out here, and ladies that are out here, are having a great time. Great time.
Yeah, we're packed every day, so definitely the value's there.
Yeah, man, good deal. So I'm really happy with what we were able to talk about today, specifically kind of how you use Ecolite and manage those like dry areas next to the wet areas, how you manage that little bit of moisture on top that causes black algae, and again, what you do with C3. It's in every tank. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it. So, dude, thank you, Brian.
Well, thanks, Jack.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.